Exclusive interview. Less than 2 years after its establishment, the UE5 real-time pipeline has been pre-researched, and a visit to the most mysterious department of Tencent IEG. Introduction. The sky is full of little stars. In December last year, I had the honor to have a conversation with the members of the operation team behind Tencent's virtual idol Xingtong. Through the mouths of ICE, head of Tencent's CDD virtual person business line, and Nina, head of Tencent's QQ dance series, I learned about IEG. In terms of investment and attention to Xingtong, we also saw Tencent's strength in the virtual human business and technical accumulation. In that interview, I once said to ICE with a joking attitude, "You see now that the UE5 beta version has been released, are you considering iterating on UE5? And ICE really calmly told me that they are really doing simultaneous research. Some of UE5's technologies are ready to be applied to Star Pupil." At that time, ICE did not tell me how long it would take for the outside world to see this exciting thing, but I really didn't expect Xingtong's UE5 attempt to come so quickly, even 10 days before the release of the official version of UE5. It was not until later that I found out that behind this short 49-second dance video was the hard work of the Xingtong team in the past 4 months. We hope to let the outside world know what the team behind Xingtong is doing every day. How does Xingtong's plan work, what does Xingtong mean to everyone at Tencent, and what role does Tencent's classmates play in it? Role? ICE did not come alone this time, and there was also the general manager of the content ecology department of Tencent Interactive Entertainment, Light, who chatted with me for 2 hours. 01. Pre-opening greetings. Tea House, hello, you two, old rules, please introduce yourself first. ICE, hello everyone, I'm ICE, the person in charge of the virtual human business of Tencent Interactive Entertainment's content ecology department. I talked to you about Xingtong's story last year. Today's protagonist is the Light, and I will be responsible for secret observation. Ray, hello everyone, I am the general manager of Tencent Interactive Entertainment Content Ecology Department, CDD for short. Everyone calls me Ray. Tea House, the Light is good, and ICE should not be idle and have a few words, laughs. Alright, let's get back to the topic. In fact, many readers of CDD believe that even many friends in the industry will find it relatively unfamiliar. Let's trouble the Light to briefly introduce CDD. Light, of course, no problem. CDD's full name is Content Development Department. It was established at the end of 2020. It is an independent department under the Tencent IEG business group. It has multiple business lines such as virtual people and virtual production, providing content production technology for Tencent IEG and even the entire Tencent business group. Relevant support plays the role of the middle stage of content production internally. As a separate department, CDD is positioned to explore the application of game engines in non-game fields, which involves many technical points that we have not tried in the past, and is also an attempt to apply game technology to different fields. It includes real-time rendering, real-time interaction, CG and VFX technology, simulation and other traditional film and television industry applications. The basic ability required for this is the alignment problem between the virtual world and the real world in time and space, which is also the subject of our core research. CDD's virtual business line is mainly to solve these problems. Tea House, I have a question here, which I only thought of after the interview in December last year. At that time, I thought that Xingtong was a multi-department collaboration within Tencent IEG without a clear ownership, but at present it seems that CDD is playing the main axis. Light, the main axis can't be talked about. Different departments such as CDD, Tencent QQ Swanwu Project Team, Tencent Artificial Intelligence Laboratory, AI Lab, and so on have a clear division of labor and perform their own duties. For example, the QQ Swanwu project team, because Xingtong was born in the QQ Swanwu series of games. The Swanwu project team is mainly responsible for the positioning of Xingtong IP, the materials of special nodes, Xingtong and business cooperation, and Xingtong is still the QQ Swanwu series of games. The virtual spokesperson of QQ Hyun Dance will not change, and Air Lab has a very high authority in the field of artificial intelligence in China and the world, so we will deal with many technical processing such as star pupil motion capture, data correction and lens algorithm. Actively communicate and cooperate with Air Lab. The sections in charge of CDD are mainly in content planning, live broadcast operations, offline video and other parts. So from the perspective of users, the part about Xingtong that everyone sees on a daily basis is mainly in charge of CDD, but there are many others that you can't see. The work behind it is cooperated by many other departments. T-House, my understanding is it similar to the relationship between the resident card pool and the active up card pool in some games? You are resident, and some other departments are active up. Light, understandable. For example, in the early stage, a department supported a certain module. With the development of the project, after the module is mature and applied, the relevant departments will automatically fade out. On the contrary, if we need the coordination and help of other departments during the operation of the project, it is possible at any time. The corresponding functional teams will be brought in to support. This mainly depends on the actual needs of the Xingtong project. Of course, from the current situation, the technologies applied in the live broadcast section are basically responsible for CDD. T-House, this explanation is very good. It cleared up some of my previous confusion. Well, our interview today will officially begin. Ice, okay, the official start. T-House, first of all, I want to ask a question that everyone has been concerned about recently. In fact, this is also something that Xingtong fans or the outside world are relatively unfamiliar with for a long time, because of technology, because of project positioning, and even because Tencent has many things about Xingtong. A plausible state of understanding, so I also hope to take this opportunity to talk about some stories of Xingtong's plan. Are you ready for the light? Ray, of course, we also hope to communicate more. T-House, in this case, let me start with a heavyweight one. How do you view and deal with the relationship between Xingtong, a virtual idol, and commercialization? Light, it's a good question, and there are a lot of little stars who were very concerned about it before. In fact, there have always been voices in the outside world saying that Tencent's Xingtong project is just for fun, and it doesn't care about the income. This is not the case. For any commercial project, there must be a commercialization goal. It just depends on what the goal is, how to achieve. T-House, isn't that true? Laugh. Ray, the actual situation is that whether it is the Xingtong project or the other projects in charge of CDD, they all hope to embark on a road that can be successful in content and business, especially content, which is difficult to prove what is called success. That said, commercialization gains are a very convincing indicator. Many people, including some people in the industry, have asked us that it is basically impossible to make a return with the amount of investment in the Xingtong project. The reality is the same. Xingtong has invested a lot in the project, and many small stars, including industry insiders, are also speculating. I have seen how much the investment in a single live broadcast is, but I am not optimistic that the actual investment of Xingtong is much larger than everyone's guess. T-House, so, how did you think about this? Shining light, we have been thinking about this issue since last year. During this period, we have clarified two logics. The simple conclusion is to break this business cycle through cost control and top-type business model. Cost control is well understood. Fans who have been following Xingtong since last year will definitely have the most intuitive feeling. The overall effect of live broadcasts is gradually improving, but contrary to everyone's feelings, the actual average cost per live broadcast is gradually decreasing. This involves our functions on the engine side, the development of plugins, the optimization of the process on the live broadcast pipeline, the optimization of manpower input in a single game, and the improvement of the use efficiency of the live broadcast studio, etc. In fact, if you look at the whole industry today and do a live broadcast of the same quality as Star Pupil, I believe that the cost of CDD will be the lowest among the solutions on the market. With the continuous expansion of Xingtong's influence, many customers inside and outside the company have come to us, hoping that we will provide tools, products and even solutions. For CDD's current best commercialization model, it is also an external tool product, or packaged sales of solutions. To put it simply, in the virtual human line, Xingtong may be a project with more investment than return, and even this situation will continue for a long time, but this does not mean that we do not care about Xingtong's IP commercialization income. This is not contradictory, we are also actively exploring. In addition, through our technical solutions, we can provide our capabilities for the virtual human industry, and even traditional industries to obtain commercial returns. Soon we will see more virtual human using CDD technology. T-House, it sounds like the metaverse already. I see a lot of little stars mentioning the metaverse in the comments. Ray, in fact, the word metaverse is not allowed to be mentioned within our department, laughs. At present, this word is still a space hole. Different people have different understandings of this word, which can easily lead to internal communication problems. We still hope to solidify the two most basic capabilities of virtual and real space-time alignment and real-time interaction. At the same time, I also hope that the tool team is a practical team. Don't be impetuous, everyone likes good data, but good data should be the result of your serious work, not the purpose of good data, because only there are so many ways to get good data. T-House, I think the little stars can read the following content with peace of mind after listening to the words of the light. Ice, so the little stars can rest assured that Star Pupil is the most important project of CDD since its establishment, and it will also be the core project of CDD in content planning, technical practice and business exploration in the next few years. 02. Gain experience and solve problems. T-House, I'm sorry to forcibly divide it into a paragraph, the light is too chatty. Ray, sorry, but this is just the beginning. Ice, bubbling kick. T-House, many questions have already been answered before, so we might as well talk about lighter topics, such as Tomboy, which has been trolled by little stars recently, and Godhui on April 8th. What do you think about this? How does the live broadcast feel? Ray, in fact, this technical test has been prepared for a long time. It can be regarded as a phased result. For us, after more than 8 months, the technical preparation has finally reached a usable level. Originally, we prepared a lot of new technical points during the technical test, but during the rehearsal process, we found that they did not meet our requirements, so we removed them temporarily, and we will meet you after optimization. I am very happy that everyone will like this live broadcast, and Xingtong and the entire tool team are very happy. T-House, I almost forgot, congratulations to Qianjian. Ray, thank you. We also conducted a detailed review of the entire live broadcast on April 8th, and we are happy, but we also summarized a lot of problems. T-House, yes, I still want to ask a topic that has been very noisy recently, that is, what data is imported into the engine. Ray, recently, many friends are more concerned about this issue, and the little stars are also very concerned, laughs. In short, the data imported into the engine is the skeleton data that has not been processed or automatically and simply cleaned. Of course, many people say this. I don't quite understand, This involves the operation mechanism of CDD's live broadcast in Star Pupil. T-House, what is the specific operation mechanism, such as rehearsal? Is the rehearsal necessary for Xingtong's live broadcast? Ray, in the official live broadcast process, the overall pipeline is relatively simple. The data collected through optical motion capture is directly sent to our on-site rendering machine, and then the pictures of all rendering machines are imported into the director station, and finally passed through the director. The station enters the recorder and then pushes the stream, which is the picture that everyone finally sees. Of course, the rehearsal you mentioned is also very necessary. This time we also released the tidbits of the rehearsal. The static in it is not a program effect, but a bug in the settlement of hair. Similar bugs were discovered during the rehearsal. There are more than 50, and only 10 can be reproduced, which means that there are still many bugs that we cannot reproduce, and we cannot guarantee the stability of the official live broadcast. It is a headache to solve these problems, so in fact, be careful. Little Xing will also find that in the official live broadcast, Xingtong's hair is not as fluffy as in the rehearsal. Before the official live broadcast, we lowered the relevant parameters, which is a compromise for the stability of the live broadcast effect. Of course, in the official live broadcast of the technical test, there are still many bugs. The process I mentioned earlier is the basic general pipeline, but because the equipment used in the live broadcast will also be adjusted, the corresponding on-site layout and arrangement will change. In the UE4 test live broadcast on April 8, the CDD team shared more than 20 renderers to ensure the overall effect. The renderers for some of the shots are redundantly configured with one main and one standby. If there is a problem, they will be switched immediately. T-House, I am a layman, but I want to know what is the concept of collecting data with 20 rendering machines. Ray, I don't know how other avatar teams do it, but I understand that 20 renderers is not a very worthwhile place to talk about. Let's put the issue of the rendering machine first, and I will mention it later in the lens section. In fact, during the more than 8 months of live broadcast, we solved several major types of problems. Because it is different from the traditional live broadcast, the live broadcast of 3D virtual idols in a virtual environment has many difficulties, mainly including: the first is motion capture. In fact, motion capture technology is relatively mature technology in the entire pipeline, but the biggest difficulty in applying motion capture in live broadcast is how to remove dirty data, including lost points, dropped points or jitter, which is an unavoidable technology at present. Problems, and it affects the look and feel very much. At the beginning, we can only tell Xingtong to try to avoid doing some actions that will cause the characters to wear the mold. Now we can make the skeletal body data as accurate as possible through software upgrades and algorithms. The second is the lens. During the live broadcast of the Mid-Autumn Festival, we had a serious problem with the mirror movement. In fact, there is a subdivided director position in traditional program production. Experienced directors cooperated, and a professional director station was transferred into the studio, which solved the difficulty of traditional directors can't operate the engine, and the tool people who operate the engine are not good at scheduling shots. We configured 2 types of cameras at the scene. One is real cameras, through the virtual camera in the associated engine, the spatial position information, aperture, focal length and other data are passed to the engine, and then the engine renders the corresponding picture. For these real cameras, we are equipped with 3 sets, namely the rocker arm, the tour machine and the fixed camera. The rocker arm is the one mentioned by Ms. Wan before. We also invited professional traditional photographers to operate. Of course, in order to optimize because of the cost, we will not invite a director or a photography teacher for every live broadcast. Laugh. Another type of camera is the virtual camera in the engine, which can also give full play to the advantages of virtual live broadcast. In fact, starting from the birthday party, we realized that the control of the virtual camera is not as good as that of a soul. Before the birthday party, one person was broadcasting live, so we didn't develop a camera that was bound to the character, and automatically followed the character. This problem was only discovered when the birthday party was linked, because after Wanwan and Bingtang came, they had to immediately. It is impossible to give a certain lens, and we immediately did special development in the follow-up. Multiple shots are rendered by multiple rendering machines, imported into the director station, and the director teacher does the screen switching. This is our common solution. Of course, this involves the problem of screen synchronization between multiple cameras. This problem is unlikely to occur in the real world, because in the real world the timeline is one way, but in the virtual world, due to different rendering machines, the rendering time is not consistent, so if you look closely, you will find that there will be a process of space and lens alignment before the complex dance of Xingtong or a long dance. Similarly, return to the main rendering after the dance. This process will also be repeated on board. The third is the issue of rendering efficiency. This problem is more complicated, and involves a lot of faces. In fact, it is not consistent with everyone's guess. The graphics card used in our rendering machine is 3090. We have also tried to use professional graphics cards such as A6000, but the effect is not ideal, and it is easy to appear clothes. The problem of hair settlement failure also involves the development of the driver level, so we still use the 3090, and each rendering machine operates independently, and does not use cluster rendering or cloud rendering. This poses a great challenge to the performance of the entire project, because at least 40 to 50 frames of rendering efficiency must be guaranteed, so students in each module of model, binding, solution, scene editing, lighting, and TE need a to solve this problem. Take this hair as an example. There are more than 20 versions of this hair. In the end, this version uses 9,000 hairs, which can achieve a good balance in terms of look and feel and rendering performance. Judging from the current optimization situation, our current rendering technology can achieve real-time rendering of 3 to 4 people in the same scene. The fourth is the lighting. The stage performance cannot be separated from the lighting. Of course, we are still using a relatively stupid method, which is to operate the lighting in the engine and arrange the lighting sequence in advance, but this makes the dance rehearsal a lot more difficult. If you look closely, you can see the lighting problem in a certain dance of 10 consecutive jumps. The future plan is to solve it through our lighting solution in virtual production, so that the lighting tool can also adjust in real time through the lighting console. Lighting, for example, Xingtong thinks this surface light is too dark, and the lighting tool can be pushed up immediately instead of debugging in the engine. Of course, lighting is also involved in rendering efficiency, so I won't talk about it here. Indeed, in the early live broadcast process, the performance of some rendering machines was greatly reduced due to lighting problems. Oops, after talking so much of the obscure-sounding stuff in one go, it's easy for me to wrap it up and get back to the question of why do I need a rehearsal. T-House, so the rehearsal is actually not only responsible for the live broadcast, but also can be seen as countless repeated trials for the team during this process. ICE, for Xingtong and the CDD team, this is indeed one of the best ways to find and solve problems. Of course, there are still many problems to be solved, such as the anti-shake problem of physical lenses, etc. These problems need to be solved by the technology of virtual production. T-House, it's not easy. I believe that both within the department and for the audience, everyone can clearly feel that Xingtong's technology is becoming more and more mature. These are the results of long-term and continuous accumulation. Ray, I think these experiences are a good precipitation for us. Of course, technology is only one aspect. In fact, the name of our department is called the Content Ecology Department, not the Content Technology Ecology Department. We believe that the content consists of two modules, the first part is content planning, and the latter part is technology. You have to do a good job in content planning, or content creativity, plus enough technology to perform to present the best content, both of which are indispensable. Fortunately, both of them are a gradual accumulation process, and we have gradually found some directions. In the future, we will also start the storytelling of Xingtong, as well as a new round of art style optimization. I also mentioned in the previous introduction to the vision of the CDD department. CDD hopes to use game engines to explore applications in games and non-game fields. If there are subdivisions, there are actually various applications, including virtual humans entering the real world. There are various combinations of virtual people in virtual space and real people entering virtual space, each representing exploration in different fields and technical directions. Therefore, for all projects in the CDD department, including Xingtong, we are constantly trying to solve the common problems. Tea-house, then I really hope to see that day as soon as possible. Speaking of which, I have a question to ask: how long have you been doing the UE5 video of Xingtong? Light, it took about 3 months before and after. Tea-house, so long? Ice, let me say a few words here, because the official version of UE5 has just been launched, and it is not in a very stable commercial state. Ray, Ice is right, CDD spent about 8 months on the UE4 pipeline before, and it may take longer than that to run through the UE5 pipeline. Many things have to start from zero, including a lot of hardware. The interface needs to be readapted and the model assets must be remade. In fact, the models in the UE5 video were all remade, so it took so long. Is the pre-research stage. Tea-house, although, it's not too much for me to put a peach here first. Ray, we actually hope to use UE5 as soon as possible more than everyone else, so stay tuned. 03. Virtual production with CDD and IEG. Tea-house, talking about this, I believe that readers have a very deep understanding of the industrial production logic behind Star Pupil, so can you talk about CDD's ability in virtual production? The team that understands virtual production best. So after studying virtual production for so long, what is CDD's biggest feeling about virtual production? Ray, I really don't dare to say that I understand the most. The traditional film and television industry has also been exploring for a few years. It can only be said that we have been doing LED virtual production relatively early, and the project was established at the beginning of the establishment of the department. This technology is slightly different from Xingtong's virtual human live broadcast technology. What you see is what you get is the advantage of virtual production, creating a virtual environment to achieve the effect of being fake. Since the virtual production technology is more complicated to explain, let's watch a short film. It is easier to understand. This is an internal test film produced by our department at this year's annual meeting. It was shot in the studio, which can well demonstrate the application scenarios of this technology. The scenes in these videos, except for people and close-up scenes, are real, and the entire scenes behind them are virtual. The high-hanging moon, the distant trees, and the special effects of rain can solve some problems that are particularly difficult to shoot in time or space. Lens. For example, a sunset is only about 20 minutes in the real world, but in a virtual studio, you can shoot a whole day of sunrise and sunset. Tea-house, really nice. In fact, I have seen some videos officially released by UE, which mentioned a concept called visualization. How should this concept be understood? Light, in fact, what you see is what you get. In the traditional production environment, the on-site shooting and post-production are separated. If the film involves a lot of special effects, it will test the personal skills of the actors and the director team, because it does not feel like being there, and needs to rely on imagination and lines. Motivate your emotions. If you find that a certain shot or something is wrong during the post-production special effects production, there is a high probability that you need to retake it. In the environment of virtual production, by putting assets and special effects in front, both the director and the actor can feel the live effect close to the finished film in real time. This efficiency is too high. For any industrial-grade product, what you see is what you see. The results are exciting. Tea-house. So, apart from film and television, what are the more mature use cases for virtual production in other fields? Light, press conferences, concerts, and various large-scale events are very typical application scenarios, because virtual production can break the shackles of the original stage and expand the space behind it to what you want it to look like, which can be snow, can be desert, or even space. Then there is the virtual human, which applies the corresponding capabilities we have accumulated in the Star Pupil project to the virtual production, but our expectations are far more than that. We hope to be able to use the technology of virtual production to realize the real and virtual human. Perfect interaction in the same space, including real person and virtual person handing over items, eye alignment, item interaction, etc. Ice. In fact, the Winter Olympics special program winning the ice and snow some time ago, was also an attempt. As a guest, Xing Tong interacted with teacher Pang Qing and Tong Jian. Due to the impact of the epidemic, Xing Tong and the Tool people could not reach in this live broadcast. Beijing. So in this extreme case, Xing Tong completed the motion capture in the Shenzhen live broadcast studio, transmitted it to the Beijing studio of Tencent Video, and then used the rendering machine to output and synthesize. Tea-house. Finally, let's talk about games. In fact, as a department under IEG, I was surprised to find that we haven't discussed games much so far. So what can the CDD department do as a technical middle office for IEG's game business? Ray, CDD will provide support as long as there is internal demand. In fact, many of IEG's current studios have cooperated with CDD on many projects. These cooperation include virtual human projects and game-based productions, even press conferences, various projects. We all provide assistance for stage performances. Not only that, it is open to CDD. The core of virtual technology is interaction, and the game engine has obvious advantages in film and television, virtual interaction, simulation and other aspects due to its ability of real-time rendering and real-time interaction. The direction we are mainly attacked and good at, so our ability is not just for the game. CDD's capabilities are also oriented to the whole industry, including traditional industries. We are also cooperating extensively with the outside world, including the virtual human industry. We will also selectively undertake corresponding businesses for related needs, which is also very helpful for the realization of our business value. Business returns can make this business sustainable and healthy development. Tea-house. Last but not least, say something to the little stars who have been with you all the time. Ice. The little stars are very special and important to this project. The growth of the stars is the result of our joint efforts. Thank you very much. Light. Thank you very much for Xiao Xingxing's love and company of Xing Tong, and I hope to live up to this love.